April 2015 was the most earliest email exchange that I could find with my guest today. I'd written to him. I hadn't started the Ken back then, and India was in the throes of the campaign against zero rating and free basics. And I had written to Deepak Abbot trying to understand how do you make sense of all these large numbers that are coming out from Facebook and Google about the number of active users they have, how to calculate ARPU, how do you value the ecosystem? Because Deepak used to do these elaborate posts filled with data on all the tech ecosystems and explain insightfully what they really meant. That was April 2015. The next set of email exchanges that we had was after he'd started Indiagold. It was in May 2022. I think I and a colleague had reached out to him for a story that we were planning around gold as an asset. And he very kindly clarified, saying that, look, we are not in the business of looking at gold as an investment opportunity. In fact, we give trade credit line against gold. In fact, we call gold a dead asset. And then most recently, July 2025, I'd written to Deepak saying, Deepak, we need to meet and chat for first principles. And I said, I missed his data driven post. And he wrote back saying, even I miss my data driven posts. And after a smiley, he said, startup consumes you is an understatement. And here we are on 2nd November 2025. I'm in Delhi. It's a Sunday. This is post Diwali Delhi. The AQI in the morning when I checked was 364. It's what it is. Welcome, Deepak Abbot, to First Principles.
Thanks, Rohin.
So lovely to have you. To come back to entrepreneurship and Indiagold, you and Nitin, right? You're both co-founders.
Yes.
Right. Great. Now, this is tricky, right? Because, I mean, of course, all co-founder relations are tricky, but when there are two co-founders with no titles running, both of you need an enormous amount of trust and belief and respect in each other to make things work, right? Because no one from the outside will know what are the amount of stress that co-founders go through, right? How do you guys, what is the unsaid and the said and the de-risking part in this, that when you decide to come together and said, I mean, I'm sure at some point it must have been a discussion saying that no titles, we'll both be co-founders.
Yes.
This is what I'll do, this is what you will do, this is how we'll make sure that we don't like end up fighting, etc. What is that in whatever form you can tell us?
So I think when we initially used to tell our VCs when they invested, they said, who's the CEO? Who's the CPO CEO? I said, we don't have any CXOs. And we will never, and I'm repeating it again, we'll never take that title. Both of us will never be either the CEO, CPO, CEO, because we want our teams to have some aspiration that they can become CXOs. So we will never take that title. So we were very sure that, okay, that's not the reason why we are building Indiagold. The reason we are building Indiagold is want to, see this huge opportunity that we have in front of us. Can we execute that in a way where it becomes a meaningful outcome? And title anyways wouldn't matter. If this is successful, we'll get our due share, right? And if it is not successful, I don't want to use the title CEO on LinkedIn and get another job after this. So for us, it's not that I'm looking at another stint after this, that I need to have some sort of a designation or some sort of a title. And the second part was that both of us have our own core competencies. He's pretty good at managing external operations. He's good at managing people. I'm good at doing my own thing, building stuff, exploring new technologies and working with product people. Kind of an introvert. He's also an introvert, but he's more outgoing. He rallies the team
well.
He rallies the team really well, and he understands operational nitty-gritties really well. He enjoys that part. I hate that part. So it happened organically. Things that he enjoys, he continues doing that. He doesn't like to get into. He's full of ideas, but he doesn't like to. Okay, let me write the PRD. He's not that kind of a guy. He said, "This is the idea, just 2-line idea. Please build the PRD. Let's take this product live, but broadly, this is what I want." So we were very clear, and that really helped because we're not getting into each other's territory, and we were only getting into each other's territory to give an outside in view, which both of us appreciated. Right? Sometimes you're building stuff and doing thing, and you don't really get the real feedback. But since we didn't, unlike most of the employees, they sometimes feel uncomfortable sharing the hard truth or bad news. We said, okay, one thing that we'll do openly is to share bad news with each other openly. When I say bad news, anything that goes wrong, let's be very open about it. And that's the principle that kept us together. In fact, I think we are very, very good friends. We socially also connect. Very close to each other's family, so that also helps. And we've gone through some tough times, and that really brings you together. In fact, we never really had a moment where we disagreed with each other on a broader topic. Somehow we always aligned to the same vision, same way of execution, same broader thought. Yes, on a day-to-day basis you might have different paths every day, but we've aligned to each other's thinking in last now we're working for like 10 years together, right?
That's
So
including the time at
including the
Paytm
time
as
at
well.
Paytm. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, you and Nitin came together. How do you find your first 10 colleagues?
Yeah, I think I was lucky, like I said, since working at Paytm, plus I was writing my own blog and I was having decent followership on Twitter. I was able to attract a couple of guys who were, interested to work with me and Nitin. So first team happened through my interactions with people on Twitter, and mostly interns. In fact, the most interesting part is that the first intern that we hired for product, he went on to become the CPO of our company. In about 5 years, from intern, 10,000 rupees a month internship to the highest paid employee in the company and who owns about 1.5% of the company. That's how that person grew. And nothing makes me happier than seeing, like, because that's the vision me and Nitin had. And how can we see our team members growing to a level where they become CXOs instead of we grabbing those titles and not letting people grow?
Why
So
is that so important to both of you?
I think it gives the team something to look for. They have the aspiration that, can I be the CEO? Can I be the CXO? They can
Why
execute
do you care so much for that?
because, you want people who, work with you for long term. You don't want people who come and go and, the attrition is high.
What is
So
your long term vision for both of you?
I think we'll continue the way we are right now, no titles, and we continue to take India Gold to a place where our everyone creates value. Employees with through ESOPs, our investors. We obviously also should get some meaningful outcome out of it. But that's like a next 4 to 5 years vision. But we have a lot to do right now. Like I said, we'll be
Got it.
getting into building our own book. That will require a lot of. It's like day zero for us on the third business line, and that's where I think we are now again starting from scratch.
This is a question that I've asked most guests in the past, that there's a saying that we are the average of 5 people that we spend the most amount of time with. Who are these 5 people for you?
Right now,
Yeah, in generally in life.
yeah, I
I mean,
think
right now, maybe the last
yeah,
year,
obviously
last couple
Nitin,
of years.
obviously I
Yeah.
spend a lot
Yeah.
of time with him. Then I have a couple of friends who are not from the startup world. They don't understand VC industry, and the kind of outside in view I get from them, they keep me grounded because we get in the bubble of VC world and Twitter. You talk about valuation and open AI. They are from different era. I mean, when I say different era, they, while they might be using chat gpt, for them that's not the life, that they are not enamored by the next shiny AI product. So they talk about things that are day to day, how the consumer behavior, what people around them are thinking, and that's the reason why we're able to build products which are more relatable to the people around us. So yeah, that's the balance that we maintain. And then I have a couple of colleagues at work who are the opposite of that. They are the savvy kind. They they get attracted by every shiny thing. They want to build newer stuff. They get bored easily. They get enamored by something happening at Silicon Valley and things like that. And they keep sharing. Okay, can we do this? Can we do that? So that gives us a balanced perspective of, on one side, always on top of what's happening, because people around you are excited about building those things, and then the realistic world outside was saying, okay, technology is not everything, right? Technology is just an enabler. uh, you see how you're actually solving the problem for them. Do you even understand your TG? What are the actual issues? What do they actually do in their real life versus asking Chat GPT about some data? So that's the balance that those four or
Got
five
it.
people around me help
Got
us
it.
maintain.
Got it. Of course, you've worked in a lot of different companies and roles, and you've been fairly outspoken about many of your views. One of the things that I think you keep saying is that the importance of curiosity, and I'm switching now to trying to figure out, if you're building an organization for the long run, probably the most important thing that you do on a day-to-day basis is find people who will be part of that journey,
Right.
right? And once they're in, figure out how to motivate them and give them more and more things to do, and basically get out of their way
Right.
so that they can do
Yeah.
things, right? This requires firstly spotting talent. What are your, what's your hacks or mental models or uh, tips about spotting great talent?
I think we look for two skills. Besides technical skills, that's just to filter the basic on the resume side. Two skills that are very important to us. One is ownership mindset. And I know it's difficult to judge when you're interviewing them or talking to them on a casual basis. And second is ability to grasp or learn new things. Because we're very clear that we're not hiring anyone from the industry, because everyone comes with a preconceived mindset of how gold loan works. So today, the first 100 people that we had, I think 90 were not from the gold industry. So, and we hired them basis the different things that they had done in their previous stint, or what they used to do on weekends, or how do they upskill themselves, or what are the things that would excite them outside of their work, right? Like, for example, if I look at my own journey, I would I've done gaming, and I've done user interface, I've done web designing, I've done product, I've done coding, and I've also used to blog. I think that people who do such multiple things, they engage themselves in their creative pursuits, their ability to learn is much higher. So my hack to hire such people is to see what they do outside of their work. Because work, when you interview them, if they're really smart, they're good, they'll answer all the questions. But are they into something which most people, like 0.1% or 1% of the population is engaged? Like, for example, I have a lot of respect for people who take care of their health, are into fitness. Because now that I am into the my fitness journey, I realize that how much dedication it takes and learning it takes to keep improving your fitness.
That's right.
And I have a
It's
lot of
experiments, hypothesis,
yeah,
feedback
and
loops,
I have a lot
everything.
of respect for people who have some creative pursuit. They paint, or they write, or they read a lot, or they do things which takes them off the day to day stress and hassle. Because you need that when they come to office on Monday, they've chased their creative pursuit and they are fresh and they are looking forward to working on Monday. So that kind of, and there's no exact science behind it, right? I mean, I wouldn't say that 100 people we had, all 100 were like that. As long as you get 35% of your people falling in that category where they have high ownership, you give them something, they're independent contributors and they'll end up doing it, and they learn if they don't know, I think you will be able to build a good team. So as long as 65% people are just showing to work, they have the right OKRs and KRAs, and they're executing what they're asked to do, and these 35% people are highly motivated, very focused on their work, and learning new things every day, you'll actually eventually build a good team.
You also said that product management is a mindset, not a role. What does that mean? What does it mean that it's a mindset? I mean, can you give me any examples of where it's a mindset?
I think eh, when you building product means you're trying to solve some problem, right? You're building products so that someone uses it, and that means you need to get into the shoe of the person who's going to use it. So it's like understanding the consumer behavior. Just be open about, keep looking around you. How do people consume different things, consume different products? How do they interact with their phone? How do they interact with certain apps? Just talk to them the way you would talk to your friends, versus, oh, I'm going to write a PRD, let me see what kind of data that exists, what kind of funnel that I can create, what kind of wireframes I'll let me do A/B testing with the wireframes. Now that's a very technical skill that is needed. I'm not saying not needed, but if you are observing people, if you are thinking for first principle, trying to understand the problem versus building a solution. It's That's why I call it a mindset, because you cannot learn that comes naturally to you. If you are not good at talking to customers, if you're not, even if you're introvert, you can still pick up a phone and talk to 20 customers. Your observation power has to be really good. You need to observe things. Are these sofas placed okay? This mic is coming in my way. Can it be placed better? This light is right now affecting me. Maybe the studio, the way we are sitting is not right. So those things, as long as you're observing around you and then saying, okay, how can I fix it? It'll come in with the mindset of a product person. So
This connects also back to curiosity, which is one of the other values that you keep talking about,
see,
right?
curiosity is the must, right? That's like,
Observation and
because see,
curiosity
the
both.
world has changed so much in last 26 years since I've started working, 27 years. If I was not curious, I wouldn't have adapted every time the real shift in technology happened. I've seen when there was no internet, where there was dial-up, there was no landlines, in fact, to today, when we everyone is using AI to improve efficiencies in their day-to-day functions. And I've kept myself relevant, uh, because I was curious to see how things work, how everything is going to help me, how can this new thing work in my favor. So that's the reason why I think, if you want to stay relevant, the curiosity has to be always high.
Got it. How do you run your typical week? Do you calendar it? Do you have an approach to it, or is
No,
it
I'm
just
very
what
unorganized that way. Very unorganized. I mean, I of course, there is people.
is
I mean,
Nitin also like
no,
that?
Nitin
Or
is very organized.
got it.
He takes notes of everything. He, in fact, pushes me a lot to keep taking notes. So he. If you ask him in October 2022 in our quarterly review, what was discussed and things that we've not done today, he would have that somewhere in his notes. He's that structured. So, but I try to store everything in my mind. I try to, because I have kind of, I wouldn't call it attention disorder. I like to do things really fast, and I jump context really quickly. So I don't leave anything pending when I leave. It's in my mind that I have to finish, otherwise I won't be able to sleep. So that helps me stay kind of organized without really making an effort, because I don't leave anything pending. For me, the work has to finish. Uh, so I naturally don't relax when something is there in my mind, even though I've not written it down. But I know somewhere that okay, something is pending.
Got it.
So
So
yeah,
your calendar. So in any typical week, it'll look very different from.
yeah, it'll look very open. Anyone can request a meeting, because they'll find slots.
What about the time when you want to spend something that you've been looking forward to kind of work
I
on
block
or
my own
do deep?
calendar then. So when I'm, like, for example, on a Saturday afternoon, when I don't want anyone to disturb me for 3 hours, 4 hours, and I want to watch Netflix, or these days I'm addicted to building stuff on Lovable when I'm doing vibe coding. I
No,
don't.
what have you most recently built?
I've built some 25, 30 products, random things,
Got it.
which are maybe useful to me. For example, things like
Oh, so
tracking.
they're not just building for building's sake. You're actually building and
Just
using
for my
them.
own, yeah, like, even though I can release it, they can go and people can use it. Like, for example, things like, you can track, if you have courier coming in from 10 different companies, you can track it. Just put your tracking number, it'll automatically detect which courier company is, where it is. It'll send push notification to your WhatsApp. So I block my calendar when I'm doing something like that. And then, of course, when I'm into, so I run a lot, long runs on Sundays. I don't take my phone. If there's no phone, obviously, and I don't have SIM on my in my watch, so this I'm disconnected. That's one form of disconnection. And whenever I take my flights, I'm very, very happy that the flight mm, does not have Wi-Fi. I hate when flights have Wi-Fi, because you end up connecting and then get back into the same world. So I love when I'm flying, because again, you're disconnected. So there, I find my movements to disconnect.
What do you do when you're disconnected on a flight?
I do nothing on my flight. I do nothing. I just keep my mind calm. With internet, you are either
Oh,
looking
this
at
is that
reels,
this
or just checking Slack, or doing whatever. So many things. You're in 1 minute, I can switch between 4 apps, even though I hate it. I know it's not healthy, but I, can't stop myself.
All right. Uh, why do you do what is it that you do? What's it that truly drives you?
I think
Like
want to
27 years and next so many years, like, what's driving you?
I think as long as I'm excited about building things, it'll continue to drive me. Uh, as long as I'm not bored, and I think there are opportunities and problems that I'm yet to solve, and of course, in the course I can make some money. That, I mean, money of course is a great uh, target to have. And I'm not saying that I want to be an ultra rich or want to make so much money that I go for world tour and all that. I mean, I like to I'm a materialistic person. I like to buy things. I like to buy a lot of shoes for my running, and spend money, right? So
What's the most latest shoe that you bought?
yeah, I just bought a 6 Super Blast.
Are you
And
also on running fan? No, the Swiss ones, the
I have
ones
not
that
bought
no.
on
Oh, okay.
because I like to research a lot
Yeah,
when I
yeah,
buy,
yeah.
and I think that's not for me. I don't like very cushiony
Thick.
shoes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so yeah, but I would, like I said, I would like to try. So I would buy one day. So I want, these are the things I want. I like to chase. Okay,
Got it.
if I'm going out, and can I buy two pair of shoes without even looking at my credit card statement? So it's not about making money that I can buy a Ferrari. No, no, that's not the kind of money I want to make or I desire of making. But as long as I'm happy in my life, able to fulfill my materialistic needs, and I'm excited about going to office on Monday, and there's a happy environment, and every quarter when we look back and see, okay, at least we've, when we do our quarterly board meetings, and we when I'm so I even today I build my own deck for that quarterly meeting with our board. And when I'm building the deck, and I say, oh yeah, when you in day to day, you don't realize when you're building that, realize, oh, we've done this, we've done that, we've reached here, we've achieved so much, and that feels good. As long as
That's
that
very
feel good
real.
is
You're
there
right,
every
because
every quarter, I think I'm set.
that's actually very true, right? Because in the thick of things, you're always doing things and you always feel like there's so much left to be done. But it's only when you do like a review, then you realize that, wow, we actually did so much,
Yeah.
right?
And when our board tells that, oh, you could have done this, you didn't do that, and I said, okay, next quarter.
All right. What gets you up when you're down and out and when you take a knock? I'm sure through your career and even at India Gold, there have been many times when things haven't gone your way. Right. So what kind of makes you get up again?
I think the team, when we look at the 250 people that we've hired, they work so hard for us in the sense for India Gold, and when I walk into the office and see everyone is trying to give in their best, putting in their work, it motivates you to keep building or keep solving for an issue so that they also continue to grow. And we are very very proud of the fact that in 5 years we've never had done any layoff, never asked anyone to leave. We built and we've got very very less attrition, and that is the reason we are very very particular about how we want to what kind of company we want to build for our
Great.
employees.
Since we're talking about people now and like, you're talking, what is it that you've changed your mind when it comes to managing people? Something that you believed in before is the right way to manage people, but now you've
I think
changed your
earlier it was
mind on that.
fear. Like
Hmm.
for example, I mean, I don't know if I should be saying that or not. Vijay is a very hard person to work with, right? And at Paytm, I was the head of product, and I would create Vijay's fear that Vijay wants this, Vijay wants that. We have to do it, otherwise you'll be taken out of the team, or you'll move to this. I'll take this product from you. And it worked for me when I was the employee, right? I mean, using founder's name. Here, obviously, if I create unnecessary fear, it's gonna hurt us back. So here you have to take them along and tell them why. If I'm taking an irrational decision, they need to know why. Like for example, Vijay used to tell us that you don't know that 20 things that when I say something in a meeting room, you only are looking at me and you're saying, oh, this, why is he asking this, is irrational, why is he saying this? But there are 20 other things that I've gone through. There's so much context that I have. I'm talking to investors, I'm talking to external people, I'm talking to a lot of customers. You don't have that context. But when I say something, you think, you are not preview of that conversation that I have had. So please, when I say something, try to understand that. And this is the learning that I took here. Said, okay, I need to explain people when we ask something. It may sound irrational to them, it may sound illogical to them sometimes, or very hard to them. But there's a reason why we now do that. So as long as they understand the reason, and that's the change that I've done. Earlier, I never used to explain the reason when I was head of product. फिर विजय ने बोला तो करना है. But here you can't say this कि मैंने बोला तो करना है. You have to tell them why we're doing this. As long as they understand the context, I think we end up getting most of the work done in a very efficient way.
Got it. What is your span of control? How many people report to you?
I think 4 or 5.
Got it.
Yeah.
Right. What's the best way or best time for people to give feedback to you?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't remember that if, at least in my team, I'm getting any feedback. Maybe something I need to do to
That is
change.
often a founder problem because,
Yeah.
it needs to be, it's very hard because people don't normally give feedback to founders until they
Yeah,
feel.
that's something that I think I need to work on. Be
I mean,
more
I'm in the
receptive to
same boat as
feedback.
well. So,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, obviously there must be some lot of scope to improvement, but I don't get that often from my team members. So maybe something I need to
I'm
do.
assuming you and Nitin give each other feedback
Oh
a
yeah,
lot,
yeah, a lot.
right?
Oh yeah,
That's because you're both co-founders.
yeah, correct. But then again, getting feedback from Nitin versus, let's say, from your product or engineering team would be
Got
different.
it. Are there any phrases that you're like pet phrases that you're known for at work, like in meetings or when like good things, bad things? Is there anything like that? No?
No.
Is there any line that your team dreads hearing from you?
From me, I think my team doesn't forget hearing anything about me. I think I'm a very, very
Do you
chill
and Nitin
person.
have a good guy, a good cop,
Oh yeah,
bad
yeah.
cop?
Nitin is so we've discussed that. I'm the happy, go lucky kind of a guy, and Nitin is the tough guy, and he has to assume that role. He's not a tough guy, but he, brings that personality. And when, and he sometimes in meetings, you have to show the other side when targets are not met, or something goes wrong. So he takes that part very effortlessly. I can't do that. So that's why, I'm a good person in the company, and people dread Nitin.
What does a productive day for you look like at the end of a day? Where you look back and say, wow, that was a really great day.
I think when I finish all my work, whatever is there in my mind, because I don't write notes, but in my mind, there's always this, uncanny. There's a thread. There is something pending. As long as
Okay, but okay, let me equalize that. Let's say there are two different days. On both days, you did very different types of work, but at the end of both days, you completed whatever you thought you would do. Are you saying they're always
no,
the
no, no.
same for
Okay,
you?
yeah.
So
I
my
think now I've
question
understood
was
the
more
question.
in terms of
So when I do
what
anything
kind of work.
hands-on, I feel really, really good about it. When I'm only doing thinking and I'm doing strategizing, or when I, trying to firefight, uh, those are the days I don't really enjoy much. So when I say hands-on, I'm reviewing the new app workflow. I'm building a new dashboard where, reviewing the PRD, or writing the PRD myself, or looking at, solving a particular server issue that we had because of some outage that we had, or payments are getting stuck and we're trying to resolve that. Those are things, hands-on things which really makes me feel happier. So that's versus trying to solve some employee issues or admin issues, or trying to think about how we're gonna do next 1 year or next 6 months, or you know talking to partners and saying, okay, how can we maybe do more business together, but sales kind of calls
Got
or
it.
sales kind of discussions. I don't enjoy that much. I have to do it
Got
as
it.
part of my job, but those are the tasks which, end of the day, if I'm only doing that, I feel I've not accomplished something.
I think I read somewhere that you'd said that experiments, doing rapid and constant experiments, is the way to iterate in a company, because nobody can predict what will happen over the next 4 5 years. I fully agree with that. Forget 4 5 years. If someone especially in a post AI world, if someone were to say, can you predict what will happen in the next 2 years,
Yeah, things
anyone
are
who
moving
says they
fast.
know is just lying,
Correct.
right? So help me understand, what does that mean when you say that you got to build, I mean, as either as a professional or as a company, the only way around that is to constantly be experimenting.
Yeah, I still believe in that because, like I said, Indiagold is a prime example because we've had a tough ride when it comes to compliance and regulations. We were before our NBFC license, we were like a fintech, and fintech, while most of the tech world would understand, but banks and RBI and most of the old world economy people, they won't understand what fintech is. For them, fintech is either a some sort of a IT service or a technology platform, or just customer acquisition tool for them. uh, and that is the reason why uh, it was always difficult for us to continue scaling, because at at every 6 months juncture, something would come up which would impact our business drastically. So we've seen near death, 4 or 5 near death experiences. So as a result, we thought, okay,
In the space of 6 years.
in the space of 6 years, uh, and again, mostly related to compliance and mostly related to banks not able to understand how we work, right? And of course, we are also not able to understand how
How they expect
they
you to
they
work.
expect us to work, right? And that's when we thought, okay, we'll instead of going grand and trying to change things, we'll go slow. We'll be very practical about what we need to build. um Take small steps, uh, and if there are three paths to the same problem, we'll take the most compliant path, which is difficult for most fintechs to take because that's the slowest path. And that's where I think the nature of, okay, trying out things, okay, which if I take path A or path B, the resistance I'll get on path A versus path B, and the least resistance obviously is the most lucrative. The most resistance is where will give us better long term returns. So we kept doing that. We kept recording it, and we realized that, okay, to be in this space, being more compliant actually gives you far better chances of being a much bigger company. And as a result of last 3 to 4 years of such small experiment that we kept doing, the way we used to approach the problems, the way bank would change their policies and we have to adapt to that, we now come to the conclusion that it's better to be regulated. I know it's very counterintuitive to how fintechs, when they look at exploiting regulatory arbitrage, said, no, we don't want to be that company. We want to be highly compliant and still figure out a way to grow rapidly. And that has happened because of our experimental culture of trying things in a way which most fintechs won't. You know,
How do you inculcate, or how do you incentivize such a culture within the organization, and a culture of experimentation?
I think since we are all focused on two things, the growth, obviously, but non disruption in our day to day business, because we've seen so many disruptions because of one mistake that we do, and then we have to go all the way back and fix it, uh, which we obviously call, there's a error rate every month. As long as we're reducing the error rate when it comes to meeting compliance, and everyone is well aware of those 2 or 3 key metrics besides the company metrics. We have these compliance metrics that everyone we feel should be following, and we transparently share everything about the company every week. We don't wait for some town hall or a quarterly meeting or an annual get together. So everyone knows that what we did last week, how it resulted in certain numbers today. It could be the top line growth or the bottom line, or why did our expenses go up, or why did our revenue go down. So team gets more lot more confident that, okay, these are the 10 things that we did that resulted in either a positive outcome or a negative outcome. It gave them more confidence to keep coming to us and saying, okay, how can we now achieve this now, since this week's target is XYZ. uh, can we try 4 5 things, because they were very excited about knowing how it will impact the next week or next month's number. Because we always have, in fact, all our decks, all our Excel sheets, all our PNL is literally known to 50 60 people in the company. And we've done that deliberately because we want them to feel confident about things that they do and how is it reflecting. Most of our engineers, initially used to complain that they keep building features, they don't know how is it impacting the company. And we've built a dashboard that, in Jira, these were the 10 tasks, and these tasks resulted in change in this metric. So that gives them a lot more confidence to, okay, experiment with few things. Okay, if this is what company is chasing this week, let me try and build this.
That's very interesting. So if someone improved a particular screen on the onboarding, this thing, you
Everything
link
is
it
tracked
back
in a
to.
dashboard against every Jira task. So everything that engineers do, they know that how it impacted. And failed experiment, the successful experiments, all those are recorded. Even today, I can go back 2 years back. If we tried few things, it didn't work. Everyone has access to that. So we, in fact, keep reminding people that, when, let's say, new team
So
member
it's a
joins.
constant reminder, like every week you remind people that these are experiments, this is how they're performing. So after time, it gets ingrained in people's minds that it's okay to do
And we
experiments.
are,
In fact,
oh yeah, we are, me and Nitin have told team openly that you want to try out few things, as long as it is
you don't
not going to bring the
break.
company
Yeah,
down,
yeah,
and not going against compliance, you're free to do anything.
got it. So I want to loop back to something that you said early on in this answer, which is really at some point after all these near-death experiences, you decided that look, doing things the right way and the compliant way is great because a it keeps you alive and it's better in the long
It's
run.
better in the long run.
I'm sure that's been, I mean, in 6 years, have you come typically when founders start out in the first stages, in the first year or in the first 2 years, it's like you want to do the most ambitious
Yeah, we don't want
things,
to
right?
look at those two. We made so many
Right?
mistakes.
Like it's also what VCs tell their investee companies,
Yes.
right? Go big
And
or
since
go
this was our
home.
first startup,
And yeah,
we used to get influenced by other startups, other founders and VCs. Like go big or go home, or growth at any cost, and
right,
that costed us a
because the
lot.
VC model is that even out of 10 people, if 8 take big shots and fail, 2 will succeed.
Exactly.
Nobody talks about the 8 that failed,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, and then later on we said, okay, while the investors who invested in us, obviously, all thanks to their money that we were able to build this, but they are not the ones who going to take any hit when this company goes down. I mean, for them, like you said,
They'll
there are
have to write it off.
80%
Yeah.
they'll write it off. So it's easy for them to write it off, but this is it for us. I mean, this is the only thing that we have. So let's build it our own way. Growth will come. Yes, of course, I'm not saying we'll compromise on growth, but growth at any cost is the wrong, especially in financial services. I don't know about any other category, I mean, because I've never worked in that. But in financial services, growth at any cost does not work, especially in lending. Because in lending, we all know distributing money is very easy. Today I do 160 crore, I can do 360 crore next month. It's the money coming back. Collections is the lending business is all about collections, right? So growth at any cost means I can just distribute money and then hope people will pay. I was interviewing someone from a very big lending company, very big, and they said for first 3 weeks, they do all right things. They have a credit policy. They would approve 11 12% of the cases, and when they are unable to meet that, when those 3 weeks the targets are nowhere close to what they had planned, last week they'll open up everything. They're okay to have a separate credit policy for last month where they just distribute money so that their targets are met, right? I mean, that's again
So,
because we see
so
driven.
that cohort must operate very differently. The first 3 weeks
They
must be
keep,
very great
yes,
cohorts, and the fourth week
yes,
cohort must be a terrible.
11 12% NPA versus 1.1 1.2,
Got it.
right? So if that last week what they do, if they do it all month, the company's top line will be crazy, right? I mean, they will be
Right.
doing some 10,000 crores of disbursement every month.
Right.
But if that
It also
1,000
bring
crore
down
doesn't
the.
come back, the company will die in about 6 months. So like I said, in lending, growth at any cost does not work, irrespective of what kind of company you build. And banks, the reason why Indian banking system is so robust and stable, RBI keeps a hawk eye on that. That culture of growth at any cost does not exist.
Got it.
It is systematically not encouraged.
Got it. I want to switch to you. And you did mention early on about you have a lot of respect for people who keep health and fitness in mind. And you've gone through a long term fitness journey with many
Ups and downs.
stages in
Yeah.
it, as well as like what's been that journey and where are you right now?
So I was at my peak about 110 kilos and never realized that, I'm fat or I'm overweight. But and I was quite young, so never thought that health is something that I should be worrying about. But then, something happened in the family where I thought, health is something that I need to really prioritize, and I started really working on it. It was more about diet management. I brought the weight down from 110 to about 75, so that 35 kilos was, like said, you know, took a lot of burden off me, literally and metaphorically. Tried to maintain that, but then, I was never an active person. Diet could only be, diet could only take you, so far, and I was fundamentally a lazy person. I would rather get up and play game versus stepping out. And when I started doing and till about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and then I had my ACL surgery, and I got another excuse that, I don't need to.
Oh, what happened?
I twisted my leg. I was in a gym, once in blue moon I would go, and I fell and then, twisted my leg, and I was bedridden for 5 months. And that gave me another excuse that, I don't need to work out. My leg is weak. But 3.5 years ago, when I again started putting on weight and I was out of shape, and that's when I realized, no, and startup was Indiagold was, at its peak, in the sense, we were right in the middle of raising funds and growing and doing experiments, and a lot of stress. To take some stress off, I said, okay, I'll start cycling and running, and then I got addicted to it. And now it's been 3 years. I've reduced another 10 kilos, and now I'm at my leanest, about 65 kilos, which I feel is the right weight for me. And when I go out for runs or cycling, I don't take my phone. It gives me that, space which I need
What do
to.
they call it? Joy of missing out.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it when I don't have my phone with me. I don't take my phone to my gyms as well. And yeah, I mean, but I love my Apple Watch because I like to track a lot of data.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, inherently you still remain a data driven
yeah,
person.
yeah, yeah. So
Have you written any
so
apps?
I've changed my body into, so I have so much data about my body, so much data, and Chat GPT didn't help, of course. When I say didn't help, I mean, I'm saying in a nice way that, you know uh, gave me a lot more information about my body than I ever knew. And I got obsessed with how the body would work. In last 7 to 8 months, I have really studied a lot about my own body, how sleep would impact, or how, workout would impact, or how a particular kind of run would impact my, day, and many
Energy
things.
levels, yeah.
Yeah, and was very focused on my vitals. So yeah, I think that, I know it's slightly over obsessive. I would not recommend anyone being so obsessive, but at least that gave me, one more, um, outlet to think beyond India Gold. It can't be just thinking about work all the time. So that couple of hours every Sunday, Saturday, I reassess my weekly data about my own body, and gives me, good kick about,
Have you built any app
I
using
have I
Lovable?
have I have built the app to, I feed in all my data, all my Apple Health data, and it gives me a very good overview of things that I want to track. I have very specific goals that I now have, now that I've achieved my maximum possible weight, minimum possible weight. Uh, but I still few things that I'm trying to improve about my vitals. So that app gives me progress bar where I am in terms of my journey.
Very interesting. So I was going to ask you, what are weekends and Sundays like for you when you switch off from work? It's
It's
this
mostly health
cycling,
related,
running.
fitness, cycling, running, playing games, and long walks. I love walks. I can walk for 14, 15 kilometers for 3 hours, 2.5 hours, and I don't feel anything in my legs. I can just
Do you
walk.
listen to music while you're walking?
I used to. I have ditched everything now. I don't listen to music. I don't wear any, heavy stuff. I don't carry, like I said, I don't carry my phone. Don't wear caps. No goggles. I used to go like a proper, fully dressed warrior. I'll have cap. I'll have goggles. I'll have headphones. I'll have belt and all the fancy gears. I just now wear any shoe and just go and walk.
What's going through your mind when you're walking, like whatever, 8, 10 kilometers, etc.? What are you doing? Does it go
Random
back to
thoughts.
observing?
Random thoughts. So I play this silly game of calculating the number plate and making the total to 0 or 1. I keep playing those stupid games and I keep looking at vehicle. I keep thinking about a few things that I would want to do in my life. So all random thoughts. There's no
All right.
structure to my thoughts during those 2 hours.
Is there a particular time when you found that you tend to get the most creative and insightful thoughts?
When I get up, around 7 to 9 is my peak window when I just try to think out of the box. I mean, because once you reach office, you have to stay in line. You have to think inside a
Right. Your
structure.
calendar and time doesn't really belong to you.
7 to 9 is when so I come back from my run or walk around 6:30. I leave at 5, come back by 6:30, and then have my tea, and then 7 to 9 is where I you take my laptop and I do things which I would not normally do in office, browse stuff, write. That is the only time I write now, but that's for me. I used to write for the world. I now write for myself. And yeah, I
What does
mean,
that mean? It's a journal?
it's a journal. It's thoughts that might have come to my mind while walking, running, or things that we should be building, or things that excite me outside of Indiagold. So
So on a daily
I would
24
rather
hours.
publish that one day, maybe not now, but because those are very unstructured thoughts right now.
Hmm.
But yeah, that I do that between 7 to 8:30.
Got it. So that's your spiky creativity
Yes,
and
yes.
int- interesting. Um, do you have favorite foods or
I'm not very fussy about food. It just needs to be healthier. So as long as it's healthier, I
do you read books?
no, I don't.
Lack of time?
No, I've
At,
never been a good reader. I start many books. I mean, I've read a
no,
lot
but
of
you
books.
don't read books. Surely you read a lot of other
Yeah,
stuff
of
because I
course.
remember your
Of course.
blogs
My
and
see, my
like, yeah,
attention span is low, so as long as I can finish something within 30, 40 minutes, books I can't, of course. In those 30, 40 minutes I can read a book, and then, if I'm not able to complete it, that gets, that is lying on my bedside and I never get across it. But otherwise, yeah, I read a lot, random stuff. And like I said, with that chat GPT, you're going into the rabbit hole and discovering new things and things that I never thought I would be reading about. I'm even going into those topics as well.
got it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with your life?
मुझे तो लगता है I'm quite happy. 9 तो होऊंगा शायद.
Got it. Which morning of the week do you look forward to the most?
Every morning. Every morning, oh, especially Sunday mornings. I love Sunday mornings. I have my long runs, I have my gym, I have my cycling. Sunday mornings are reserved for my very long workouts. So, and then I go for my coffee after that. You know, I'm not part of any groups, so I do my
Got it.
solo
Coffee
runs.
is interesting because the parent company
It's
behind
called Flat
India
White.
Gold is called Flat White.
Yes.
Where did that come from?
It
I
came
know
at sitting at Blue Tokai where, we had given submitted
even
7 names.
Nitin is a coffee.
Oh yeah, he's a
Yeah,
coffee. He loves his coffee. So we submitted 7, 8 names. There was a company secretary firm that we had. Every name was getting rejected. We were thinking of very
yes. What is the logic there? I mean, there is like there's really no logic because even I remember when
see,
we were
people have
setting
taken
up.
all the names, right? It's like domain names. They've taken all these simpler sounding names. This finance management, this finance limited, everything they've taken. Star finance, this finance, home finance. So we thought, okay, we'll
But there's also the counter. Na? Sometimes when you submit something which is non-obvious, that will also get rejected by the ROC because they'll say, "What does this mean?"
exactly. But
Right? So
then
it's like it's one game
yeah, but
there.
obviously,
Yeah,
I don't think so. They realize it's the name of a coffee, and we're actually having flat white. I said, let's try. Let's give flat white capital. And they said, yeah, they approved it. I said, okay, fine. Let's continue with this name. In fact, a lot of people even today don't know that flat white is the name of a coffee. So they still think that some white capital, some white money, something to do with
Yeah, yeah,
capital.
yeah. Because there is a lot of these apps like White Gold and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff,
So
right?
yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's why I think the name works for us because we know it was kept um, as a like I mean
Inside joke kind of thing.
inside joke, but not joke, but yeah, I
No, but
mean
inside reference.
yeah, but it works.
All right. Let me end this conversation on with this last question. Right? If you had the chance to go back in time and give advice to 25-year-old Deepak Abbott about his life, not just his career, but just life, which encapsulates career, what would you tell him?
Not 25, I would say 20.
All right, 20.
I would
20 is when you're coming out of
I would
your
finish my
BCom. Got it.
studies. I was intelligent. I
Yes.
can say that I used to love studies. I used to, be very enthusiastic about, achieving the number one position in the class or getting high marks. I could have easily done, all the top institute that India had a degree from there. I could have easily finished my CA. I wouldn't say it's a regret, but maybe it would have helped in my career getting higher salary or maybe, taken more seriously. Mm, I mean, today it wouldn't have helped, but first 10, 12 years, I think would have helped. I think so. So I should have finished my studies because I that's one thing I was really good at it and I never took it seriously.
Got it. I mean, I just want to go slightly deeper on that. Let's take the first 10 years. Now, one of the realities that's happened over the last maybe 5 years, and especially with the arrival of AI, is that careers are getting disrupted, and especially early stage careers. And of course, one can argue mid stage careers and late stage careers also in their own ways. But the first 5 to 10 years. So, what would be your advice for someone today who's graduating from any stream or college, that how should they think about the first 10 years of their
I
career?
think first 10 years, don't optimize for salary or money. The mistakes most of the youngsters are doing, 20% increment, they would jump. Yeah,
What should they
jumping is
optimize
fine.
for?
Jumping is fine. You can switch to a newer company as long as you're genuinely doing something different and new. Like first four jobs, I had totally different role. I was doing game testing, then I was doing web designing, then I was doing UX, and then I went into product management. As long as you're doing a different role and you're trying to learn newer things, but just to increase your salary if you're shifting, I would highly dissuade youngsters from doing that. Like 7, 8 years, you
I
should
got
not
that.
be
Can you
focusing on
turn
that.
that into into slightly different answer, in the sense that I get that don't optimize for salary. Can you give me the positive version of that, which is what should you then optimize for?
Optimize for doing elevating your career in the sense you learn something that will give you a much long, so you need to have a long term perspective of what really you want, where you want to reach in your career, right? So for example,
Do people do 20 somethings have that? I mean, I know when I was 20, I mean,
no one has
I
that, but I'm saying
so then how do you
let's say
optimize
I'm
for that?
I'm 20 and I'm doing, for example, I'm doing some sort of coding, right? Now at least this clarity this person should have, that should I be doing, doing Java all my life, or should I be, just coding all my life and working under an engineer, or can I use my coding skills to actually build something that I like, or maybe shape the product, or can I be into product and use my coding knowledge and engineering knowledge and mix it with consumer understanding and become a product person, or a product person saying, okay, can I understand how PNL works, so that if tomorrow I'm talking about product, I understand when I'm building something, how it is impacting the bottom line or top line. These are the things that one should know, that one extra skill that I need so that I become a better engineer or a better product person. Now I know it's difficult, but with the kind of information we have, the kind of competition we have today, I mean, if you are not thinking in that direction, then I think you're not taking your career far. Unfortunately, I know it's a rat race. It's something that you need to, but it should come naturally to you. That how can I be a little better engineer? How can I be a little better product manager? Because there are millions of product managers. Can I be slightly better? Can I understand PNL better? Can I understand how actually business works? Instead of launching features, uh, isn't it better to kill features and save cost? if it helps the company. If you're thinking in that direction, I think you become better in your field, and that's what one should aspire for.
All right, I'm going to take away, learn new things and try to become better in your field, because you ended with that, you started with that, which essentially kind of encapsulates a lot of what you said as well. Thank you so much for your time, Deepak. It was
Thanks,
so lovely
Rohin.
chatting with you.
Lovely chatting with you.
If you've been a long time listener of the podcast and are glad we are back, do tell the world that by sharing this episode with everyone you think will find it valuable. Mixing and mastering for the episode was done by the wonderful Rajiv CN, our resident sound engineer. This is me, Rohin Dharmakumar, signing off. We'll be back soon with another episode.